Zepbound news and semaglutide news. On today's episode, we're going to talk about boosting heart health, gut problems, and some news stories that just came out today in Medical News Today on October 20th, 2024. I'm really pumped. The article that I will be sorting and citing my sources with will be linked in the description link below, as is all the amazing references I'm going to be talking about. But first, if we don't know each other, welcome. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I've lost over 98 pounds the last 22 months being on GLP-1 medication. I started off on Mounjaro, moved to Zepbound because of the shortage, and then Tirzepatide, and now back to Zepbound. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about semaglutide, but I'm going to be linking that back over to Zepbound, Mounjaro, Tirzepatide. Same thing, same vertical, just different FDA approvals on there. And semaglutide, to make sure we're talking so people don't get confused with the different vernacular on there, is semaglutide is WEGOVY, which is FDA approval for for chronic obesity management, and Ozempic is semaglutide, but approved FDA approval for type 2 diabetes. So let's go into this article. It's from Medical News Today, written by Robbie Berman, and then it's fact-checked by MSG Jennifer Chezak. And so I thought it was a great article. When I read this, I was like, I have to share this in one of my Zepbound news updates and semaglutide news updates. I'm going to be linking them over here in a minute, but let's go ahead and dive in. So it's talking in here about the heart, amazing heart benefits that we can see with semaglutide. I'm linking that to Tirzepatide because they're both GLP-1 medications. The article is specifically talking about semaglutide, but I'm making that reference because Tirzepatide is slightly higher in terms of weight loss benefits, chronic obesity management with results, than semaglutide. So therefore, that's why I'm linking it together in my Zepbound news story. But the actual, to be factually accurate, which you guys know I require of myself, to be factually accurate, the article is specifically talking about this meta-analysis that was found that the use of semaglutide of significant reduction of cardiovascular risk, which I've already discussed this story a little bit, but to remind people, if you're new, this is going to link into some other things. Deaths from related cardiovascular disease from taking semaglutide down by 17%. Hospitalizations for heart failure reduced that by 76%. Non-fatal myocardial infection, a heart attack, 24% reduction. 24% reduction on coronary yeah, I'm not medical. This is, and also part of, if you're new here too, I'm not medical. I'm not a healthcare provider. I do not pretend to play one on the internet, but I do want to punch you over to talking to your own healthcare provider with these. Strokes in people with diabetes reduction by 35%, and deaths by any cause, a reduction of 21%. That to me was one of the biggest things, which I've talked about extensively, about how literally my financial plan with my hot husband and I, we've literally changed our finances from taking GLP-1 medication. And the International Journal of Obesity is the meta-analysis appears in that, and thus in the article that I'm referencing too. So then it goes into talking about how great semaglutide is. I mean, that is amazing news, by the way. Like, if you have heart disease in your family like I do, I'm like, this thing's so wonderful. Semaglutide boosts heart health. Weight loss may not lead to may lead to gut problems. And so I've seen this pop up in comments because I do like to talk about the most common side effects, but there are some serious gnarly ones. But here's the deal with some of the recent meta-analysis encompassed 38 studies and included individuals with and without diabetes. So people with type 2 diabetes and people who have chronic obesity management. The authors are investigating the effects of semaglutide doses on adverse gastrointestinal effects. And so we know, by the way, gastrointestinal effects, they're saying there is stomach pain, nausea, constipation, and or diarrhea. So that's just to make sure if we're saying gastrointestinal, it's one of those. People receiving 2.4 milligram dose of semaglutide, which for WEGOVY, FYI, that's the highest dose, reported the highest number of gastrointestinal adverse effects. So they're having like higher reports of stomach pains, nausea, constipation, and or diarrhea, which if you haven't seen my solutions for all of those problems and you're having one of those, make sure you stay till the end. But also I have other videos specifically on each one of those, not stomach pains. And again, it's my experience, strength, and hope, not medical stuff on there. What's worked really well for me, having lost 98 pounds. So it's going in there talking about patients using, and I butcher this word, so I gotta, hold on. Oh wait, Subcutaneous versus oral semaglutide for constipation. The 50 milligram dose was associated with higher occurrences of adverse effects apart from constipation compared to 3 milligrams, 7 milligrams, 14 milligrams, and 25 milligram doses. I'm assuming because of those milligram doses, they're talking about the oral semaglutide on there. So the author of the meta-analysis, which was in Andre Said, is a medical student from State University. Medical student. Now we're interviewing medical students. Okay, hold on. There's other people who are included in this upcoming part of this, but I thought that this was fascinating. Let me go to the next part. Oral semaglutide, so that's by the mouth. In case you didn't know what oral. In case you didn't know what oral was. I don't know why I just said that. I'm not editing that part out. You guys can just laugh and chuckle along with me. Oral semaglutide, as opposed to the injection with a subcutaneous, is linked to fewer all-cause deaths. The meta-analysis found that oral semaglutide was superior than the subcutaneous version at reducing overall cause of mortality. Y'all, that is some great news. But most of us, no, I shouldn't say that. Why? No, I don't want to say that. A lot of people are on the subcutaneous injection component of it. So it's not uncommon. So this article is hitting up so many different points, which I'm obsessed with, that people taking 0.5 milligrams to 2.5 milligrams of the subcutaneous semaglutide, nausea increased from 23% of those taking 0.5 milligrams to 68%, and those taking 2.4 milligrams, vomiting increased from 9% to 45%. For me, for Zepbound, so let's link Zepbound back into this conversation, because Tirzepatide and semaglutide are two different things. Two different things, they're not the same medication at all. However, there are commonalities with them too. And in my free encouragement group, all are welcome at that table. That's linked down below as well. It's fascinating to me, the vomiting goes from 9% to 45% of this meta-analysis, because I had never had vomiting on Zepbound, and now I've had it twice as a result of taking my shot. I'm taking my shot today. I'm praying I don't yickety yak, don't talk back. I'm like dreading it. But it's talking about how vomiting has increased for the highest dose for semaglutide, which is WEGOVY Ozempic. With oral semaglutide, the number of people discontinuing treatment due to adverse effects rose steadily from 3 milligrams to 25 milligrams and then began decreasing at 50 milligrams. While adverse side effects can be difficult to manage, Said underscored the importance of viewing the continuation of obesity treatment as important of other chronic conditions of ongoing treatment would be made. Subcutaneous semaglutide, so people who are injecting semaglutide, from 9 to 11% decided to stop treatment due to adverse effects, which I've talked about. I think that number is actually larger from other studies that I've reported on for Zepbound news and WEGOVY news and semaglutide news, that people actually, it's more than that. And so that's why I like hit it so hard on here. If you're having side effects, talk to your healthcare provider, like today. Do not pass go. They need to know. And in my free encouragement group, we talk about diarrhea all the time and constipation all the time, not like all these things all the time. But we're not your healthcare provider. We don't have your medical, conditions and things like that. Your healthcare provider does and should be advising you on that as well. Because if you're having vomiting or nausea or constipation, then perhaps you should not titrate up. My encouragement would be like, talk to them about not titrating up. I know some of y'all have new health insurance regulations coming out about your health insurance is dictating your titration schedule, which is so bizarre to me. But perhaps not titrating up if you're having, not good side effects with it, because the stopping of the treatment due to adverse effects, like that's a big bummer in my opinion. So the article goes on. So that to me, okay, the article stops there. So knowing about the cardiovascular part of this too, of like, let's just talk about heart failure reduced for hospitalizations for heart failure by 76%. Just my brain goes to just the hospital cost alone, like just that is mind-blowing to me. Like how many people could be kept out of the hospital as a result of semaglutide? So this is when people start, by the way, someone in our free encouragement group, which I want to kind of take this over to the next part of it. Somebody in my, sorry, I'm bumping stuff around. Someone in my free encouragement group, they were getting really, really made fun of by somebody. I forget who, if it was a family member or if it was a friend, or if I think it was somebody they knew, which is always the most painful versus like a rando that you can kind of brush off. But if it's somebody like that stinks. But this is where I'm like, the data doesn't lie about how helpful for most people, not everyone, but for most people, GLP-1 medications for people who have chronic obesity management and type 2, like chronic obesity management or type 2 diabetes, and now or heart issues or sleep apnea or like there's a lot of other ors that are coming onto the marketplace with these clinical trials that are taking place literally right now as we talk. And so I want to encourage you how exciting that is. Like hearing these stats, like this is when people are like, oh, maybe you should take a pause on your GLP-1 medication. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This for me is for a chronic treatment. And if it's chronic, why would I stop? I know many of you disagree with me on that, and that's totally cool. You do your body, I'm going to do mine. But for me, I have no intentions of stopping. When people tell me that, I'm like, oh, that's scary to me. And I know some people are forced to stop because of insurance or if your employer is changing health insurances. If you are in health insurance open season right now, and you're worried about finances and things like that, look at different health insurance plans. It's open season for a lot of people right now. So can you switch health insurances? I feel like I'm saying that. Health insurance companies. Can you switch those? Are you able to switch those? Because this to me, of getting off this medication, and this is where I'm like, the science is going to catch up for people like you and me. I mean, I'm one of the early adapters. People thought I had 5 heads 22 months ago. We're like bashing the YouTube videos about how bad these things are. And I'm like, actually, for most people, there are some people who have gnarly things like the paralysis of the stomach or pancreatitis, appendicitis. There's that black box warning for the family hereditary thyroid cancer. Like there's certain things like that, that really sucks. But for most people, and I'll use my I statements for me, I need to speak from the I perspective. From my perspective, it has been so life-changing. A little bit of diarrhea, constipation, nausea, vomiting. I'll take that yakking in the car that I had the other day and twice on Sundays to be able to change my life and do all of these things. Like today, my kid's gonna get home here in a little bit. I'm gonna go ask him if he wants to go play football outside, like throw the football or throw the basketball or be active because I can. And I can because of GLP-1 medication, because everything else failed for me where I regained back a ton of weight and then some as a result. And so this is fascinating to me. Strokes with people who have diabetes reduced by 35%. If you have somebody who has diabetes, type 2 diabetes, this article does not make it clear in the medical news today, and that would be the one thing I would say is like, do not get it twisted with type 1 diabetes versus type 2 diabetes. It's for type 2 diabetes is which they're talking about. But like a reduction of that, of strokes by 35% for people with type 2 diabetes, like that is huge, 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 huge. And how this we're going to see over the upcoming years and decades, how much GLP-1 medication, in my humble opinion, is going to shift healthcare. It already has. We are in truly, as one of the amazing viewers said, the renaissance, the health renaissance. Of so much is changing with that. So I hope that's encouraging for you of seeing these different pockets. I think the big thing, the pro is about the heart in this article. The cons, to sum it up and give you like a Cliff Notes version of it, is the cons are the gut issues with this too. There's the heart benefits, but then it's going over to talking about potentially also death, linked with fewer overall causes of death with oral semaglutide. I would question though, with the oral semaglutide, not enough time has ticked by to test people with having subcutaneous. Hold on, I got my pronunciation to make sure I'm accurate. Subcutaneous injection, there's not enough time versus the oral semaglutide versus the subcutaneous, the injection one for semaglutide. There's not enough time that's gone by to track that. I for sure think there's going to be a lot fewer deaths as a result of semaglutide and tirzepatide. So tirzepatide, Zepbound, Mounjaro, semaglutide, WEGOVY, Ozempic. For both of them, I think that overall, there's going to be substantially less deaths associated with that too, because I mean, that's why I'm like, I'm fixing my financial, we've changed and we're continuing to change our financial plan. I thought I was going to die 20 years earlier. I'm like, oh, I'm going to tap out earlier. No, now I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of money, which is why we have revamped our financial strategy completely in our household with a lot of different things. So I hope this article helps you. To me, it was, I always love hearing these news, or I hope you guys do too. Tell me in the comments. I know some of you guys like some of my other styles of YouTube videos, but if you like this style, tell me down below. If you don't like it, in a loving, kind way, always. Give me a pointer. Always in a loving, kind way. I do want to share with you guys, I will be next week and I'll be linking it in my free encouragement group down below. On Tuesday, October 29th, I have been selected as the one of the GoPure co-hosts in LA for the big TikTok Branding Day event. So I'll be there with GoPure live with TikTok on the 29th. If you guys want to watch, excuse me, it's going to be a fun show. And so I'll be there for 8 hours. And I'll be on that live, and it will be live. So I'm really excited about that. I know many of you guys had been asking, like, what was I doing out in LA? That's what I'll be doing. It's with TikTok Brand Days is what it's called. So, and I was picked out of that, which was exciting, out of thousands and thousands of creators. And so it is amazing opportunity. I will link down below the article that we're talking about. And also, if you guys want, on Amazon right now, they've been running some cool deals. Like, some things have popped up with GoPure. So I'll link those on my Amazon beauty list. But also, if you are just starting Zepbound, and I know many of you are getting into travel or booking travel for the holidays and asking about my favorite travel case, I love this one. It has on there, you can see it's the temperature, but the temperature right now is in the room at my studio. It does not have the frozen packs in here, and you don't want to freeze your medication. No. But the packs are frozen to keep it temperature, and you can use these with compounds like Semaglutide, Tirzepatide. I am not sponsored by this company at all. I just like sharing it because it's what I use. So when I go out to LA, I will be taking this with me. And it's a clamshell case because some WEGOVY, Mounjaro, etc., have glass in them, and the pens, I want to protect that from like schlepping my on-flight bag with me. This is an awesome thing. That is linked down below on my Zepbound Amazon shopping list too. And then the third thing was, many of you guys had asked for my chocolate protein that I was loving, and then also the magnesium that helps with muscle recovery if you're lifting, sleep, if you're having sleep issues, and then the third, constipation. Bioptimizers use the discount code QUEENHAS, and I'm not sponsored in this video by them. I just love sharing about their product because it helped me so much. Literally, my Oura Ring, which is charging right now, but on my Oura Ring, I could see a difference in my Oura Ring sleep of using Bioptimizers and not using Bioptimizers. So it's made a big difference for me. It has 7 types of magnesium versus the old one on Amazon I used to take that had 1 type of magnesium. This has 7. Profound difference for me in many, many different ways. And more studies are coming about how beneficial magnesium is for our bodies too. Talk to your own healthcare provider before taking any supplements. But all of the stuff, and they do have, by the way, a protein, a magnesium powder if you don't like taking pills. My college roommate, she could not take pills. It always cracked me up. I'd be like popping my vitamins and stuff, and she could not. She'd be like, ugh. So if you're like Stacy, there is a powder drink. You can mix the powder into water to make it a drink format too. Okay, my friends, I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Our accountability question: what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? And tell me down below. And then to our emoji of the day, it's going to be a heart, a heart, a heart, a heart. Let's see, and I will link down. The emoji of the day. Sorry, I got distracted. Something just came up. I'm like, our emoji of the day is a heart. And I do that to help to get to know you better because I care. And I also pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thoughts. So emoji of the day is heart. It tells me you made it this far in the video, which I like to know everybody who makes it far in the videos. You're my friend. Sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Oh, by the way, real fast, some of my links on previous videos, I switched phones, and so they were missing, and so I'm getting that updated. So please forgive me on that too. If you're looking for some of my other news links and you're like, where are the flippin' links? They should be updated by now. Okay, love and past videos. Love you guys. Bye.